Wow, I really liked the Pokemon games as a kid. Maybe I should pick up a copy of the classic game. Okay, I love the card game. I wonder how much the cards I had for as a kid go for now. Okay, the other card games, sure, that can't be too bad. What about this one? Dang it. What's happening, hotties? It is I, Budget Disney Princess, and today I want to talk to you about a fabulous indie game not many people have heard of. It's called Pokémon. Honestly though, do you really need me to introduce Pokémon? It debuted in 1996 in Japan with green and red version before making it over to the States and Europe soon after in 98 with a red and blue. If you were alive during this time around the 90s, the Pokemania was incredible. Everybody watched the anime, everybody collected the cards. You couldn't go through a day without seeing a Pikachu or Charizard popping up somewhere in your day, as Arceus originally intended. The trading aspect helped popularise the series and gave a good way to connect to people who usually wouldn't talk to each other. I used to hang out with Smelly Dave because he said he was going to help me trade for Gengar. The massive wave the game and anime had in the 90s dimmed over time, but Pokemon settled in as the number one brand of all time. And every once in a while, like when X and Y released and Pokemon Go came to the forefront, the Pokemania comes back again, if only just for a moment.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon Go.
Sometimes a bit too much. People be walking out into the motorway because they saw a Jigglypuff. And do we really need these people at the end of the day? Pokemon sits in a good, comfy place right now, with its fanbase consisting of casuals and loyalists who have stuck by them over the years. But with all the popularity comes a price to pay, and I mean that in the literal sense. Looking at the prices, there were some things I would never own. Blue was going for thousands for a new box copy. Some card I owned multiple of as a kid were up there into thousands now as well. Even games like Heart Gold and Soul Silver released pretty recently at the time, going for hundreds, and that's kind of upsetting, especially if you're looking into trying to build a collection. If you want to just play the games, they're available on the for purchase and virtual console and all that kind of stuff pure frequently, which is good, but if you're looking to start a physical collection, you may have to take out a second mortgage on your home. You could probably buy fakes for much cheaper, but it's not the same. It might fool some people, but when your mate Pokemon Dan comes for a visit, he's going to look at you like, "So you've stooped to this level, huh?" Let's get this straight. Pokemon is the number one brand in the world, as I've said. It's completely natural to expect there to be a large amount of controversies in the collectible side of things. But here's where the problem comes in, and I'm not talking about the high floating allegations. Just like the cards, the games have been proven to only go up in price, and a lot of this is completely artificial. Red and Blue are some of the best selling games in the world, so copies should be absolutely everywhere, and nowhere near the price they go for now. Price gouging has been a consistent problem when it comes to classic games, and games like Red and Blue were ground zero for a lot of these. The Pokemon collecting community started to pick up steam around 2010, and onward, when the people who grew up with Pokemon began to grow up themselves. With the rise of Pokemon collectors, it started to boom. Companies began to rise the products to make more games seem much more rarer than they actually are. This isn't exclusive to just the Pokemon games, but the notoriety and the legacy of these games means it's definitely a big priority, and unlike a lot of recent games, Pokemon never seems to go down in value. I purchased Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon 5 years ago. Right now they go for double the price of what I paid for, and the DS games are selling for well over 100. You've heard of the term supply and demand. Well, there is no shortage of these games, so why are they so expensive? Well, a simple reason is the popularity. These games should be out there everywhere in the wild, and the only reason they're valued so highly isn't because of their rarity. It simply comes down to the fact that these games are very, very popular, and the Pokemon company knows this. Keeping from making more copies of these games makes these games so much more rare, or at least look like they're more rare than they actually are, but for the marketplace that is the games, it is nothing compared to the hellscape that is the card game. The Pokémon trading card game burst onto the scene starting in 1998. They were addictive for kids to collect and play with. Not actually play with. Back when I was a kid, not a single kid I actually really knew how to play the game, because the cards looked cool. Now with the popularity and the nostalgia with the cards, it's not surprising that there's a large collector's market, and it's been exponentially rising over the last couple of years. However, around 2020 with COVID, a lot of people seem to get back into the game, and pack openings and booster box openings with some famous people like Logan Paul getting involved. They surged in popularity. Prices have raised more than mine in the morning, and they have just kept rising. Some cards right now go for nearly $500,000, usually regarding the most popular characters. If you got a Charizard, hold on to that beast with all your might. With all the new rise in the card game after this rise in popularity, a problem that's always been there involved with scalpers had become so much more prominent. More problems have completely arisen, like with the recent release of Prismatic Evolutions, where scalpers have made the market of these cards overpriced and rarer than they actually should be. I mean, Prismatic Evolutions is a good set, don't get me wrong, but the prices people are paying for it, it's not worth it, and have made these series much more obscure and rare in the eyes of the collector. Cards in English aren't hard to find. In fact, they're quite easy to find. However, you're guaranteed to be paying a heftier price than the original market price release. These problems have become so persistent that in a lot of places now they keep a limit to 2 packs per customer to avoid the issue of scalping. Unfortunately, with the success of scalping and how successful the scalping of Prismatic Evolutions was, then this issue is bound to become much more prominent. Online sites and stores can do as much as they can to stop this, but the persistence of people who are going to make profit is something not even their best efforts can ward off. And that leads to the biggest problem. So many people have just jumped on to rely on it for future investment rather than actual love of the series. So much beautiful artwork and unique cards are thrown to the side because now there's another rare variation of Charizard, and this one's wearing a hat. Certain collectors who have the money to buy the bulk of the cards that are available, making it harder for people who love the game to begin collecting or battling. If someone pulls the rarest card in the set, then that card probably isn't going to be put into battle. It's going to be sealed away because it's seen as too much of a value to end up getting dirty or ruining the edges, or some poop like that. You could have a golden card you just pulled out of a pack without a scratch, fart in the same state as it, and the PSA will give it a 1. What can be done about the situation? Well, nothing really. Some may take it as a sad fact, but that's just how it works. Everyone is entitled to do with their own money what they choose. You can love something a lot more than someone else, but if your bank account is smaller than your opponent, then that's just the way the world works, unfortunately. The Pokémon community is the #1 selling franchise in the world. Bigger than Disney, bigger than Star Wars, even bigger than SpongeBob. It's reached a level of popularity that hasn't been documented previously, which leaves the future of the series in a quite uncertain manner. So, where do you even go as a Pokémon fan? How do you even get started? Maybe you're worried about the overpriced market and asking is it even worth it to get involved at this point? Well, the problem is that mindset. That's the exact problem. So many people get back into the game because of the nostalgia and are immediately drawn into the value of the card straight away. If you were a little ducklet, the value of these cards, of these games, wasn't someone else's market value that was placed in it by some PSA group or some YouTuber called Cash Money Farts or something. That's like seal them away, don't look at them, you'll get eye juice in them. Well, screw that person. The value is decided completely by you. Get excited because you pulled a card you love, even if you just love the look of it. If you love Skuntank or Miltank or someone is your fave, then search for them. Jump into the games you love, and love who you love for whatever reason you want. If someone tells you loving Pikachu Charizard is basic and overrated, screw them, the posh snobs in the community can go follow Hypno. Learn what way you want to play the games. Collect the way you want to collect. Sure, if you're looking for advice and want to look it up, then do that, but don't let anyone tell you this is how you need to do it or how it should be done. I like to sleeve my cards and keep them in good condition as much as I can, but I love to actually battle with them, so they're not going to be kept in a binder collecting dust. And I know they're not going to stay 100% forever, no matter how hard I try, and that's fine by me. I bought these games, I bought these cards to use and enjoy the way I want to enjoy them, and no one can tell me any different, and that goes the same for you. I got into this game because I love the designs, I love the adventures, I love the Pokemon. I'm guessing what drew you in was the exact same reason, because you love the games, because you love these cards. Heck, maybe you were like me and couldn't understand the rules of the card game when you were a kid, and maybe just made your own rules when battling. Maybe you've heard about a less valuable set, but you like the cards in that set. Well, cop that, and start collecting there. I started getting back into it in Evolutions in 2016. My collection is now a hodgepodge of different sets. I'm cool with that, and try it. It makes it so much easier. This extends to your interests. Maybe you like Digimon or Yu-Gi-Oh or Beyblade. They may not be valued or rare, but they can be valuable to you and value yourself and the things that you value. So thanks for listening to me rant about my autistic interest for the last while. I don't know how to end this video, so here's a video of Jane's massive bazoongas. Bye bye, Harrys.
あっちへお行き。
さてとサービスサービス。